Hello, everybody. You're listening to Let's Master English, and my name is Coach Shane. Welcome to Let's Master English podcast number 4. First of all, transcript news. Thank you to Jin Hong for organizing all of the transcripts that our listeners created. Jyoti, Maria, Ki, and Sergey did a great job doing the transcripts for podcast number 3, and Jin Hong brought them together on our community, Let's Master English, which is on Google+. So please join our community. Especially, we need to thank Maria, because she did lots of the dictation and she did a great job. iTunes. Remember, you can get our podcasts on iTunes, and nobody gave me a rating. I want to introduce you if you give me a rating, but nobody did. Does that mean you don't like it? Now, I did upload another podcast, and that is part of a future newsletter. It was about Labor Day, and it's just a text of describing Labor Day and an audio for that. So that is also on iTunes, and I will give you more information about our future newsletter as it progresses. And statistics. Yes, one of my favorite things is to check the podcast statistics, and I'm going to give you the top 20 countries. Number 1, Russia. Russia is kicking everybody's butt. The United States, number 2, and the bronze medal goes to Brazil. The United States and Brazil are pretty close. And then back in 4th place, we have Korea, followed closely by Japan and Italy. And then Mexico and France. All of those countries are doing great. And then following up, Kazakhstan, Vietnam, Ukraine, Poland, Canada, Saudi Arabia, Thailand, the Czech Republic, India, Belarus, Spain, and China. So, did you hear your country? Congratulations, and thank you so much. If you didn't hear your country, well then you better tell your friends to start downloading our podcast. We are all over the world, and we have some new countries, especially in Africa, the Ivory Coast, Burkina Faso, Gabon. I hope my pronunciation is okay. Gabon or Gabon. I want to welcome Ecuador also, and in the Middle East, we finally have Syria and Iraq, Afghanistan, and Pakistan. They finally joined up, and I'm going to pronounce this wrong. Kyrgyzstan. They also joined us, so thank you very much. Cambodia in Asia is new, and the Philippines. We got somebody in the Philippines too. And jumping to Europe, some new countries, Montenegro and the Republic of Serbia, Romania, and Moldova are new. Also, Slovakia. So, I should mention Belgium and the Netherlands too. And Lithuania and Latvia. Oh, and Sweden. Only one person in Sweden and one person in Ireland. Libya also. Thank you very much. One person in Libya. So I really appreciate it. Israel has 4. And I wanted to check one more country here. And yes, the West Bank. One person in the West Bank. So thank you to everybody who is downloading my podcast. Tell your friends. Remember, it's free. I want you to enjoy and learn and listen and have fun. Okay, so we've got the news coming up. Also a Q&A section, some advice, and of course, a fact from Country Shane. Oh! And we have a major bonus. That was history. Has a special corner, and they're going to teach you a little history, a short sentence. So I hope that you enjoy it. It's really funny, and I thought it was great. So once again, that was history. You can find them on YouTube. Just search for That Was History. Subscribe to their great channel and say thanks for joining our podcast. Let's Master English's podcast. Okay, shall we begin? Do you like to eat tuna? Athletes love it because it's lean and full of protein. Mixed with a little hard-boiled egg and mayo, it makes for a great sandwich. But slow down on the chicken from the sea. An exercise nut who ate 10 cans of the stuff a week, 50 ounces, now suffers from mercury poisoning. After 2 years of the heart-healthy beef alternative, he can no longer exercise. He suddenly began suffering from chest pains and dizziness, and doctors eventually found he had been poisoned by the seafood. He's off the fish now, and his mercury levels are back to normal, but he's still worried about long-term health problems. FYI, don't eat more than 5 ounces of tuna a week. Oof, that was pretty fast. Lots of new words, new vocabulary. Let me read it one more time, a little bit slower. Do you like to eat tuna? Athletes love it because it's lean and full of protein. Mixed with a little hard-boiled egg and mayo, it makes for a great sandwich. But slow down on the chicken from the sea. An exercise nut who ate 10 cans of the stuff a week, 50 ounces, now suffers from mercury poisoning. After 2 years of the heart-healthy beef alternative, he can no longer exercise. He suddenly began suffering from chest pains and dizziness, and doctors eventually found he had been poisoned by the seafood. He's off the fish now, and his mercury levels are back to normal. But he's still worried about long-term health problems. FYI, don't eat more than 5 ounces of tuna a week. Okay, so some of the key words that we need to know are lean, protein, hard-boiled egg, mayo, it makes for a, slow down on the, exercise nut, suffers from, mercury poisoning, heart healthy, he can no longer, dizziness, found, he's off, FYI, and 5 ounces. So let's go back to the first sentence. Do you like to eat tuna? T-U-N-A, tuna, the fish. It's most popular in Japan. They catch a lot of tuna over there. But it's also very inexpensive and very common in American foods. What about in your country? Do you like to eat tuna? Athletes love it because it's lean and full of protein. Athletes, people who like sports, love it. They love tuna. Why? Because it's lean. L-E-A-N. Lean means low in fat. There's not a lot of fat in tuna. And full of protein. P-R-O-T-E-I-N. Protein is a nutrient that helps us build muscles. Athletes love it because it's lean and full of protein. Mixed with a little hard-boiled egg and mayo, it makes for a great sandwich. So if you take tuna and mix it with a little hard-boiled egg, what is a hard-boiled egg? Well, you take an egg, don't break it open, put it in some water and boil it. After about 5 minutes, you can take the egg out of the boiling water, let it cool off, and then take off the shell and you have a hard-boiled egg. You can cut it up. You can take out the yellow part. The yellow part is called the yolk, but personally, I like the yolk. Hard-boiled eggs are delicious with just a little touch of salt. But you can also mix a hard-boiled egg and mayo. What is mayo? Mayo is short for mayonnaise. M-A-Y-O-N-A-I-S-E. Mayonnaise is a type of sauce. It's very white and a little bit salty and delicious on sandwiches. Mayonnaise. I like it. So, once again, if you mix tuna with a little hard-boiled egg and mayo, that combination, it makes for a great sandwich. It makes for a something something. It's a perfect combination for a great sandwich. It has all the ingredients for a great sandwich. It has all the components for a great sandwich. I agree. But slow down on the chicken from the sea. Slow down on something. Quit eating so much of something. Don't go overboard on something. Reduce your intake of something. Don't consume so much. So much what? Chicken from the sea. Now we can say chicken from the sea and chicken of the sea. And both of those expressions mean tuna. Tuna's nickname is chicken from the sea or chicken of the sea. I like chicken and I like chicken from the sea. But slow down on chicken from the sea. In other words, quit eating so much tuna. Why? Well, here's why. An exercise nut. Some guy, it could be a woman, but in this case it was a guy, who is crazy about exercise. He loves to exercise. He exercises all the time. An exercise nut who ate 10 cans of the stuff a week. So every week, this guy would eat 10 cans of tuna. 50 ounces. That's 1.4 kilograms. 50 ounces. Oh my goodness, 1.4 kilograms a week. Well, this exercise nut now suffers from mercury poisoning. That's terrible. To suffer from something means you have some illness, some ailment, A-I-L-M-E-N-T. Something is not good. Your health is suffering. And he suffers from mercury poisoning. Mercury, M-E-R-C-U-R-Y. Mercury is an element, and the initials are Hg. Other common elements are hydrogen, H, oxygen, O, and we all know H2O. Well, if you get too much mercury in your body, it's not good, and they call it mercury poisoning. So this guy was eating a huge amount of tuna, and that tuna gave him mercury poisoning. After 2 years of the heart-healthy beef alternative, he can no longer exercise. So this man, over 2 years, during 2 years, he was eating 50 ounces, 1.4 kilograms of tuna every week. Why? Because it's a heart-healthy beef alternative. Tuna is a heart-healthy beef alternative. It's good for your heart because it's low in fat. But he ate too much. So after 2 years of the heart-healthy beef alternative, he can no longer exercise. He can't exercise anymore. He suddenly began suffering from chest pains and dizziness, and doctors eventually found he had been poisoned by the seafood. So this guy was eating tuna for 2 years, and suddenly, all of the sudden, he began suffering from chest pains. His chest would hurt, maybe where his heart was. He was feeling pain. And dizziness. Dizziness means he had a very light feeling in his head. The world was spinning. He couldn't stand or he couldn't sit straight. And doctors eventually doctors did tests on him and they discovered he had been poisoned by the seafood. He's off the fish now and his mercury levels are back to normal. So he's off the fish now. He's not eating the tuna now. And his mercury levels are back to normal. He no longer suffers from mercury poisoning. The amount of mercury in his body is normal. But he's still worried about long-term health problems. However, he is still anxious. He's worried about his future. In the future, will his body completely recover? Will he be okay? Will he be able to exercise like he used to? FYI, don't eat more than 5 ounces of tuna a week. FYI, for your information, don't eat more than 5 ounces of tuna a week. Every week, do not eat any more than 140 grams of tuna. 5 ounces. 1 typical can. That is your limit. So this is a sad story about a guy who was trying to be as healthy as he could. He was exercising all the time and he chose to eat tuna because it's good for you. It's low in fat and full of protein. However, he overdid it. He ate too much tuna and he caused mercury poisoning in his body. So this is a terrible situation for this guy. I hope that he recovers. How about you? Do you like tuna? Me? Oh, I like tuna a lot. I like tuna sandwiches. You can make stews with tuna. Stew, S-T-E-W. That's like a very heavy soup. So in Korea, they have a very healthy vegetable called kimchi. K-I-M-C-H-E-E. And you can take kimchi and mix it with tuna and make a delicious stew. I like it very much. But I don't eat that much tuna. So hopefully I'll never have to worry about mercury poisoning. And I hope you never have to worry about mercury poisoning again too. Again, or ever. Okay, let's look at the keywords one more time. Do you remember their meanings? Lean, L-E-A-N. Protein, hard-boiled egg. Mayo, M-A-Y-O. It makes for a great sandwich. Slow down on the chicken from the sea. Exercise nut. Suffers from. He suffers from mercury poisoning. Heart healthy. Tuna is a heart-healthy beef alternative. He can no longer exercise. Dizziness. Dizziniess. Found. Doctors found he had been poisoned by the seafood. He's off. He's off the fish. FYI, for your information, 5 ounces, 140 grams, or a typical can of tuna. I'm going to read it 2 more times. The first time, a little bit slow, and the second time, normal speed. Here we go. Do you like to eat tuna? Athletes love it because it's lean and full of protein. Mixed with a little hard-boiled egg and mayo, it makes for a great sandwich. But slow down on the chicken from the sea. An exercise nut who ate 10 cans of the stuff a week, 50 ounces, now suffers from mercury poisoning. After 2 years of the heart-healthy beef alternative, he can no longer exercise. He suddenly began suffering from chest pains and dizziness, and doctors eventually found he had been poisoned by the seafood. He's off the fish now, and his mercury levels are back to normal, but he's still worried about long-term health problems. FYI, don't eat more than 5 ounces of tuna a week. Do you like to eat tuna? Athletes love it because it's lean and full of protein. Mixed with a little hard-boiled egg and mayo, it makes for a great sandwich. But slow down on the chicken from the sea. An exercise nut who ate 10 cans of the stuff a week, 50 ounces, now suffers from mercury poisoning. After 2 years of the heart-healthy beef alternative, he can no longer exercise. He suddenly began suffering from chest pains and dizziness, and doctors eventually found he had been poisoned by the seafood. He's off the fish now, and his mercury levels are back to normal, but he's still worried about long-term health problems. FYI, don't eat more than 5 ounces of tuna a week. Did you really understand? Did you really understand? 5 questions to test your listening comprehension. Number 1. How many references of tuna in this article? Number 2. What makes for a tuna sandwich? Number 3. If you had a friend who was drinking too much alcohol, how would you advise him? Number 4. Is the guy still eating tuna? Number 5. What are some of the symptoms of mercury poisoning? Okay, our first question is from Saad. And Saad asks, what the heck is a podcast? This is a podcast. Thank you for the question. Our next... Oh, no, that's not a good answer. Well, a podcast is a combination of 2 words, pod and broadcast. So broadcast is like radio broadcast or TV broadcast. A pod refers to the iPod. That's right, the iPod MP3 player. Podcasts were not invented by Apple, but thanks to the iPod, they did become popular. Podcasts are independently produced broadcasts. So we're not like CNN or Fox TV or any of the other big radio stations or TV stations. It's just me in my home or maybe in a studio. I could be in a studio creating a broadcast, talking about things, laughing about things, teaching things. In my case, it's an education podcast. But there are so many different types of podcasts. My favorite podcasts are history podcasts. I like comedy podcasts too. So that's what a podcast is. It's, well, if we say it negatively, an amateur broadcast. But I prefer independent broadcast. That sounds better to me. Our next question comes from David Tonelli. And he says, has the word bachelor a pejorative sense? Is the word bachelor, can it be negative? Can it be a joke? And what about when you finish college? Something about a bachelor. Is there a link between these two words? Well, yes, there is, David. Bachelor. B-A-C-H-E-L-O-R. Now, the first definition of bachelor would be a single guy. A guy who has never been married. So he is a guy, but he's a man, but he's an amateur man. He's not mastered what it is to become a real man. A real man needs to get married and have a relationship with a woman and have children. That's a real man. So if you're not a real man yet, then you're a bachelor. That really is the nuance. A single guy who has never been married, never had kids. Now, in America, and maybe in your country, if you go to college and you graduate after 4 years, you get a bachelor's degree or a bachelor degree. We say both. And that means you have attained certain knowledge in an area. Now, I know David studies physics. So after 4 years of studying physics, are you a master? No, you're not. You're an amateur physicist, just like an amateur man. You're not really a man yet. You're not really a physicist yet. You need to take the master's course and then the PhD course to become a true master. So bachelor, a single guy, and also the name of the 4-year degree if you graduate in the United States. Thanks for the question, David. The Mohammed in Ho BR. I'm not sure how to read that. Mohammedinho BR. Hi, Coach. I have 2 stupid questions, but we learn through our stupidity. Well, actually, I always say the only stupid question is the question you did not ask. In other words, if you ask a question, it's not stupid, but I like it. So, he has 2 questions. Number 1, sometimes I hear the TH sound pronounced as a D. For example, this sounds like dis. Is that okay? Well, yes, you're right. Some Americans do say dis instead of this. However, that is maybe a little bit Ebonics, which means ebony, and phonics, which is black English. So a lot of rappers, both white and black, will say dis instead of this. But I highly recommend that you keep the TH sound. Okay? Especially in the word like this. Now his second question, the T in tomorrow. Can it sound like a D, especially a flap T if there's a vowel next to it? Yes. For example, I want to see ya tomorrow. I want to see you tomorrow. I want to see you tomorrow. I want to see you tomorrow. So once again, if I said it quickly, I want to see you tomorrow. See you tomorrow. See you. It would be a flap T. I want to see you tomorrow. And remember, the flap T in American pronunciation sounds very similar to the D. So yes, the Mohamedinho of BR or Brazil. I think it's Brazil. I think it's like Ronaldo. Oh, I can't remember his name. Ronaldinho, the soccer player. I'm not sure. But yes, so the answer to question number 2 is yes, the T in tomorrow can sound like a D if a vowel comes before it. Thank you very much for the question. Our next question, Hitch Omar. Hey Shane, I have a little question. I understand easy, slow English very good, such as your English, 99%. But I have a problem on how to move to the next level. I want to hear and understand native speakers in movies. So, should I keep practicing listening to slow, understandable English? Or what's a better way? Well, now, like this podcast, we had the news section, and I gave you the slow version, but I also gave you the fast version. My recommendation is always listen to the fast version. But the problem is, what if you don't understand? Yeah, that's a dilemma. So that's why I created Daily Dictation and Daily Dictation Members, DDM. So DD is free. DDM costs money. But that's what those classes are about. You hear the native speakers in a real situation, in a movie, in the news, in an interview, in a sitcom. Then I explain the pronunciation and I say it a little bit slowly. Then you listen again, and believe it or not, most students can hear it. So it really takes a lot of practice. Now, Hitch Omar, our philosophy is if you can say it like a native speaker, then you can hear it. So it takes lots of speaking practice. You need to learn how to speak perfectly, well, properly. You need to understand the cancellation and the linking. So Hitch Omar, keep watching the movies, but also keep listening and watching to DD. And if you can, join us on DDM for real hardcore listening exercise. Thanks for the question. And we have another question from Sandeep. When we say, where's her house and where's your house, really fast, when we say those two sentences really fast, do they sound the same? Well, that's a good question. So where's her house and where's your house? Now, actually, most Americans don't say your, we say your. So once again, where's her house and where's your house? So let me say it fast. Where's her house? Where's your house? Where's her house? Where's your house? Now, where's her house? We can cancel the H, but actually in this situation, her is quite important. Not his house, not Shane's house, not their house, but her house. So we're probably going to keep the H, but it is possible to cancel. So if we cancel, where's her house? Where's her house? However, when we say, where's your house, we absolutely keep the Y. Where's your house? Where's your house? Where's her? Where's her? Where's her? Where's her? Can you hear the difference? There absolutely is a difference, Sandeep, and it takes lots of speaking practice. So if you can make an audio recording of yourself saying those two sentences, I'll check it for you, okay? And one more question from Ingrid Basher. Hi, Coach. I like your podcast. It keeps people interested to the lessons from the beginning to the end. Now that's really cool. I'm very interested in studying administrative vocabulary. So English regarding administrative work, business English. And I want to understand the American way of thinking. Since you have an MBA, you are the right person to help me. Okay, well, I studied the MBA, Ingrid, but I had visa problems, so I had to quit the program before I graduated. So I didn't actually finish the MBA, but I did study. Now, Ingrid, learning administrative vocabulary and business English, it's actually really difficult to learn in a general book. What you need to do is find a blog online that talks about exactly what you do. So I don't know what your job is or what it is you want to study. Is it human resources? Is it business administration? Is it accounting? Is it, I don't know. There's so many different things that administrative vocabulary could include. So if you have a specific area, I want you to search for a blog because somebody is writing about your subject, and that would be the best place to learn it. And also, somebody might have a podcast on that subject. So keep looking, and if there's a specific area I can help you with, let me know, and I'll try to find something for you, okay? Now, regarding the American way of thinking, there are so many ways, but basically, Americans, I don't know, I'm a white guy from northern Wisconsin. So my way of thinking is very home-oriented, respect my private property, let me do what I want to do. This is my style of thinking. Also, entrepreneurial. I like to have my own business. I like to be my own boss. That's my way of thinking, but other Americans are going to have their own way of thinking. It really depends. So there's really so many different things I can say about the American way of thinking. My recommendation, find an American friend and ask them questions. The more you get to know Americans, the more you'll discover the individual American ways of thinking. And she also asks about personal lessons. Well, I don't teach one-on-one English lessons, but we do have DDM. And DDM has 2 levels of membership. The self-study membership costs $37.99 a month. Now this is September 2013, so it might be more expensive now when you're listening to it. And the second level is DDM VIP. And DDM VIP, that includes 1 hour a week of talking with me on Google Plus Hangouts. It's live, and it's not just me, it's with some classmates too. And that also will change. So this is for September 2013. So keep that in mind. So if you're listening in 2014, you might say, no, it's so much more expensive. Well, you should have joined in 2013 because the prices will go up. I'm sorry. It's so cheap. Okay, that's it for the questions. Keep them coming in, and thank you so much. How you doing, everybody? This is Country Shane, and I'm here to bring you the facts. September 1st, 2013. The month began on a Sunday. And anytime a month begins on a Sunday, it means there's gonna be a Friday the 13th. Oh boy, we got Friday the 13th coming up pretty quick. I'm a little scared. Are you? This has been Country Shane bringing you the facts.
Hi everyone, this is Cliff from That Was History. On September 11th of 1970, the automobile company Ford would introduce their new vehicle rightly named the Pinto. Unfortunately, the vehicle contained one of the biggest design flaws in automotive history, as it would often explode into flames if it was hit from behind. The less than $2,000 price tag for this vehicle rarely did much to help Ford recover from this automotive mishap. For more fun history lessons, be sure to check us out on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter by searching for That Was History.
Okay, it's time for Let's Master English's studying tip. Now we're talking about English goals. So last podcast I told you how to make friends, English speaking friends. Of course you want American English or British English or native English speaking friends, but take any friends in the beginning. Today I want to talk about travel. If your English goal is about traveling, there are many things you can do to master English. Number one, books. There are so many tour guides, tour books, travel books in English, and they're very inexpensive. You can get them at the library, at the bookstore, online, and at every airport. Now, my recommendation is to first get a travel guide for your country in English and read it. Do you understand everything? Are there mistakes? This is the best way, because if you're reading about travel in your country, it's going to be easier to understand. And you're going to learn the key vocabulary related to travel. The next step, after you've built your vocabulary, let's say you're Greek and you want to travel to Mexico. Go to YouTube and you will find so many videos describing Mexico, all the different tourist destinations of Mexico in English. So using YouTube videos that describe travel and adventures in other countries is a fantastic way to master your English for that area. And once again, find blogs. Some people love to travel and they write about it in their personal blogs. So go to their blogs and read about their experience and ask them questions. Get to know them. Find out about their experiences. Ask them questions. And finally, travel. You have to make plans to travel. Now, if you're single, it's easy. Just, if you can, every month put $30 in the bank. $30 in the bank. Save it for 2 years and make a travel destination. So if your travel destination is a native English speaking country, sometimes America or the UK might be expensive, but there are other native English or close to native English speaking countries. Maybe they're a little bit cheaper. I'm sure you can find something that's not too expensive. And remember, if you make a reservation way in advance, you can get a cheaper ticket. And also, it forces you to save money and it forces you to study English. So if your English goal is to travel without a tour guide. It's easy. Give yourself some time, invest, and do it. And that's going to do it for me today. I hope you enjoyed this edition of Let's Master English. Please subscribe on the iTunes Store and give me a good rating. Give me any rating. Nobody's been giving me a rating. It makes me sad. You can also get our podcast on our homepage, www.letsmasterenglish.com. Take care, everyone, and let's master English.